The world is on edge, holding its breath as headlines flash across screens and conversations in cafes turn to the looming crisis. From New York to New Delhi, people anxiously follow every update, aware that the outcome of these talks could reshape the global order. All eyes turn to Muscat, Oman, where the US and Iran are set to meet for a pivotal round of nuclear negotiations on June 15, 2025. The city, usually known for its calm and hospitality, now finds itself at the center of a high-stakes diplomatic storm. At stake is the future of Iran's nuclear program. Tehran insists its ambitions are peaceful, focused on energy and medical research, but Washington and its allies remain deeply skeptical, fearing a covert path to nuclear weapons. The world remembers past betrayals and broken promises, fueling suspicion on all sides. This sixth round of negotiations is widely seen as a final opportunity, a last, fragile chance for diplomacy to prevail before the region is plunged into chaos. The stakes could not be higher, and the pressure on negotiators is immense. Tensions are at a breaking point. Both sides have escalated their rhetoric, trading threats and showcasing military might. Warships patrol the Gulf, fighter jets roar overhead, and armies stand ready, waiting for a single misstep to ignite conflict. President Trump has drawn a hard line, demanding that Iran halt all uranium enrichment immediately, a demand Tehran has repeatedly rejected, calling it an affront to their sovereignty and dignity. The standoff grows more personal, more entrenched, with each passing day. Oman, respected for its neutrality and quiet diplomacy, steps forward as a trusted mediator. The Sultanate's leaders work tirelessly behind the scenes, hoping to bridge the chasm of mistrust and prevent disaster. The world's major powers, Russia, Europe, China, and others, watch with bated breath. Each has its own interests, alliances, and fears, making the outcome of these talks a matter of global consequence. International media swarm Muscat, capturing every moment. The International Atomic Energy Agency, tasked with verifying Iran's nuclear activities, finds itself under intense scrutiny. Its inspectors walk a diplomatic tightrope, trying to maintain credibility and transparency amid mounting suspicion. As negotiators gather in Muscat, the world waits in suspense. Will reason and compromise prevail, or will the region slide toward war, dragging the world with it? The next few days may decide the fate of millions. President Trump's position is clear. Iran must end all uranium enrichment, no exceptions. This zero enrichment demand is a sharp break from past deals, leaving little room for compromise. Trump's public pessimism signals a hardening U.S. stance aimed at pressuring Iran and reassuring allies like Israel. Supporters argue that only a total halt can prevent Iran from ever building a bomb. Iran, however, sees this as an attack on its sovereignty and scientific progress. The two sides are locked in a fundamental clash, security versus national rights. This deadlock is the core obstacle in Muscat. The world wonders, can either side bend, or is confrontation inevitable? Despite tough talk, President Trump insists he prefers peace, not war. The U.S. pursues a dual strategy: maximum pressure through sanctions and military readiness, but with the door to diplomacy still open. Trump reassures allies he opposes unilateral military action, hoping to keep the region from igniting. Yet, U.S. military preparations tell a different story. Evacuations and heightened alerts signal real fear of conflict. These moves are both deterrent and precaution, showing Iran the risks of escalation. The administration walks a tightrope, projecting strength while trying to avoid war. The world watches, uncertain which path the U.S. will ultimately choose. Will words of peace hold, or will preparations for war become reality? Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has flatly rejected U.S. demands, denouncing them as both humiliating and excessive. In a televised address, Khamenei declared that Iran would never bow to foreign pressure, framing the U.S. conditions as an affront to the nation's dignity and independence. His words resonated deeply with many Iranians who see the nuclear program not just as a political bargaining chip, but as a symbol of their country's resilience and technological ambition. For Iran, halting uranium enrichment isn't negotiable. It's a matter of national pride, scientific progress, and a testament to years of perseverance under international scrutiny. Iranian scientists have worked tirelessly to advance the country's nuclear capabilities, often in the face of sabotage and sanctions. The program is seen as a homegrown achievement, representing Iran's right to develop its own future. President Pezeshkian frames the ongoing standoff as a fight for sovereignty and self-determination. He emphasizes that Iran's choices must be made by Iranians, not dictated by outside powers. This narrative has become a rallying cry for the government, reinforcing the idea that compromise would mean surrendering the nation's hard-won independence. This defiance unites Iran's leadership and public, transforming what might seem like technical disputes into a powerful narrative of resistance. Across the country, rallies and speeches echo the sentiment that Iran must stand strong against what is perceived as unjust pressure from abroad. Iran backs its words with military threats. Defense Minister Nasirzadeh has warned that any attack on Iran would be met with swift retaliation, including potential strikes on U.S. bases in the region. The military's posture is meant to deter adversaries and signal that Iran is prepared to defend itself at any cost. The powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, has also threatened Israeli nuclear sites, dramatically raising the stakes for any military action. Their statements are intended to show that Iran's response would not be limited to its own borders, but could have far-reaching consequences. Iran's recent missile tests and heightened naval readiness in the strategic Strait of Hormuz demonstrate that the country is not only willing, but also prepared for confrontation. These displays serve as both a warning and a show of strength to the international community. Advanced GPS jamming operations and large-scale military drills further signal Iran's ability to disrupt global oil supplies if provoked. The threat to vital shipping lanes is a reminder of Iran's strategic leverage in the region. Despite years of crippling sanctions and economic hardship, Iran remains determined to defend its interests, by force if necessary. The population has adapted to adversity, and the military stands ready to respond to any escalation. The message from Tehran is unmistakable. Iran will not yield under pressure, and its resolve to protect its sovereignty and national pride remains unshaken. Oman steps in once more as mediator, hosting the high-stakes talks in Muscat. Omani diplomats work quietly to keep dialogue alive, offering neutral ground for adversaries to meet. The U.S. arrives demanding zero enrichment, backed by sanctions and threats. Iran, led by Foreign Minister Araghchi, insists on its right to peaceful enrichment and seeks sanctions relief. Both sides are under immense pressure. America from allies, Iran from economic hardship and national pride. Oman's challenge: find common ground where none seems to exist. Creative solutions like third-party uranium handling may be the only way forward. Success or failure in Muscat could tip the region toward peace or disaster. Israel watches the Oman talks with deep suspicion, its leaders acutely aware that the outcome could reshape the region's balance of power. Every development is scrutinized, every rumor dissected, as officials weigh the risks and opportunities that might emerge from the negotiations. The Israeli military remains on high alert, with a finger on the trigger and forces ready to respond at a moment's notice. The tension is palpable, as the possibility of conflict looms over every decision. For Israel, the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran is not just a policy challenge, it's an existential threat that shapes its entire security doctrine. The government's resolve is clear. It will not allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons, no matter the cost. Israel's military is prepared to act unilaterally if diplomacy fails, with plans in place for preemptive strikes and rapid mobilization. The stakes could not be higher. Behind the scenes, Israeli intelligence and special forces intensify their preparations, gathering information and rehearsing possible attacks on Iran's nuclear sites. Every scenario is considered, every contingency mapped out. This ever-present threat puts immense pressure on U.S. negotiators, who must navigate not only the demands of Iran, but also the anxieties of their closest Middle Eastern ally. American diplomats walk a tightrope, balancing the pursuit of a peaceful agreement with their unwavering commitment to Israel's security and regional stability. The risk is clear. An Israeli strike on Iran could ignite a devastating regional war, unleashing chaos across the Middle East and threatening countless lives. Such a conflict would almost certainly draw in the United States, destabilizing the region and potentially sparking a wider confrontation with unpredictable consequences. Meanwhile, Iran's leaders issue their own threats, vowing harsh retaliation against any Israeli attack and fueling a volatile balance of terror that keeps the entire region on edge. Any diplomatic deal must do more than satisfy Washington and Tehran. It must also address Israel's deep security concerns and convince its leaders to stand down from the brink. The challenge is immense, as Israeli officials debate their options and monitor every twist in the negotiations, ready to act if they feel their nation's survival is at stake. In this high-stakes environment, the risk of miscalculation is dangerously high, and a single misstep could trigger consequences far beyond the negotiating table. The US-Iran standoff ripples across the globe, drawing in Russia, Europe, and threatening regional stability. Russia offers to mediate and handle Iran's uranium, complicating US efforts. The US and Europe push for IAEA resolutions, risking further escalation if Iran retaliates. Tensions spill into the Persian Gulf, with shipping at risk and oil markets on edge. Any disruption could have severe global economic consequences. The negotiations in Oman are a precarious balancing act with worldwide stakes. A deal could avert war and stabilize markets, failure could trigger conflict and a regional arms race. Iran's internal turmoil adds another layer of unpredictability. As talks begin, the fate of global security hangs in the balance.